GM everyone. Hi. Welcome everyone. I'm Lena, Deborah lead at Celo. And for everybody who doesn't know Celo, it's a leading Ethereum L2 and is scaling global impact and real world solution on Ethereum. This is the founder stage. It's where we highlight builders who are making MiniPay work for millions of users. And MiniPay is a self-custodial stablecoin wallet built on Celo with over 40 million activation globally. Near zero fee transactions are making stablecoins useful throughout the world. And today we have Bash from Partner. Very excited to have you here today. Welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good, very good. Before we get started with all of my questions, I wanted to ask you, can you tell us a bit more about yourself? You started by, how did you end up building such a huge infrastructure that is powering many pays on and off ramps in Nigeria? From when did you get started in Web3? Tell us the story.
Yeah, well, I'm Bash. I think pretty much my whole career has been in crypto. I got into crypto in the university. I think maybe like third year or something like that. And it came from a friend showing me Bitcoin, telling me about it. I always used to think, what the heck is this guy talking about when he was talking about Bitcoin? They were fun times. And but after a while, I really became obsessed with the whole idea of Bitcoin and all that stuff. And I really wanted to understand how it could actually be money. And then from there, I started trading OTC on WhatsApp groups. And really, that kind of taught me the pain, when it comes to moving money in and out of crypto in Nigeria first. And then I dropped out of uni, started two crypto companies. Both of them failed. And then after that, I decided, maybe being a founder is not really for me. I should get a job. And then I went back to work, and then started as a graphic designer, worked my way into product roles at Busha, MoneyPoint, Yellow Card, into Switch, and then ended up working at Binance, where I led the P2P product in Africa. So that's kind of like my story. I mean, in 2019, I co-founded Partner, and then we started as a simple link tree for crypto wallets, and then that's how I got to where I am right now.
I mean, you've been in the space forever. It's like you're a real OG, I would say. And you just mentioned so many big names like Yellowcard, MoneyPoint, Binance. I think you work with so many leaders, especially when it comes to financial railways. What was your main learning that you took from working there that made you also want to build your own thing, and what helped you get started?
I think I've always wanted to build products that solve the kind of problems I was facing when it came to moving money in and out of Africa. And, it really became a lot more apparent when I was at Binance. At Binance, I was running the entire P2P product in Africa. And every day I kind of like was also OTC trading as well. So I would watch millions of dollars move through those informal channels like Telegram, WhatsApp, and all of that stuff. And these were the kind of users I was trying to bring on board at Binance as well. People that were doing like informal trading on Telegram or WhatsApp. And Binance P2P was a really amazing product at the time. We were able to grow it from something like $7 million per week in volume to like $200 million by the time I left. And that was just like,
That's
just
huge. That's incredible.
yeah. So $200 million by the time I left. And that was just, just a little bit over a year. But the key thing there is that majority of users in Africa were still doing everything through informal, um, rails, right? You know, doing manual bank transfers, coordinating on Telegram, WhatsApp, and taking like serious counterparty risk just to be able to move money in and out. So the $200 million that I was talking about is actually a very small fraction of what the actual general market. Most of the volume still move through WhatsApp and Telegram. Um, so all of that, and also the same pattern when I joined Yellow Card, Blue Share, everywhere. The gap between like how crypto companies, are designed and what African markets actually needed was a bit. There was a huge gap there,
Yeah.
uh, especially around between stablecoins and local currencies. So that was the reason why. That was what really pulled me back into building products again.
Um, yeah, I mean, you mentioned this like informal most that still most of the money transfer is happening through informal ways, and that's also why how you started Partner, no? Like was having this like just trying to build a tool that makes it more convenient, more secure, and then you kind of like pivoted, and I think that's a great sign of a good founder to be open to like seeing what is useful and what is actually needed.
Yeah.
So how did you get from that first version to its remittance and then into B2B infra?
I mean, the first version of our product was called Coin Profile. It solved the real pain point that I personally had as an OTC trader at the time. And it was that I was copying and pasting my wallet addresses every time someone wanted to send crypto. And it was kind of tedious. So we built a very simple link in bio for crypto wallets. And that taught us that, people didn't just want to do OTC trade, but also they wanted to actually move real money. And that's what led us into doing remittances with Coin Profile Remittance. The B2B pivot really came when, not intentionally, but businesses were just reaching out, asking that to plug into our infrastructure rather than, the consumer product. So we realized very quickly that the real opportunity wasn't competing for end users, but more like it was powering the crypto to cash layer for companies that already had the users. That was the reason why we did the pivot. Yeah.
Okay, nice, amazing. Um, Now, I mean, I'm working at Celo. I would love to also learn a little bit more about your journey with the Celo ecosystem. I know you got a lot of support and from different um, projects. Can you share a bit about those and how it also helped you shape and scale your product?
Um, it's really started with Celo Camp. We were one of, if not, I don't know if we were the first batch of Celo Camp, but we're very early at Celo Camp. So we're one of the first companies to join Celo Camp. And that was really foundational for us. That was the first time that we were really forced to think about product market fit. And it also gave us the kind of structure that honestly made Y Combinator easier to go through later when we joined. So Silicon was really fundamental for, and then Flurry Ventures came in very, very early. They were one of our first earliest investors. Um, and they made a bet on us when we were still really trying to figure things out. It wasn't even a real company yet, and they made that bet on us. So really grateful about that. But they didn't just write us a check and give us money. They connected us directly to the Celo ecosystem. Even with the co-founders of Celo, Marek and Rene, who ended up investing in Partner as well. That level of access, to the people building the chain we were also building on was something money couldn't really buy. And Veda as well, continuing that trajectory, has also invested in us, and they bring a different lens. they're more focused on the African market opportunity and really helping us think about scaling, right? So each of those partners, Celocam, Flory, Marek, Rene, and now Veda, they've really shaped partner in a different way. And the Celo camp to MiniPay arc pretty much is really the story of how this company became what it is today. So it's a fantastic ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that story so much because I feel like that's what I feel is special about the Celo ecosystem. Like we care a lot about the founders and supporting them, and in getting there. And I love that exactly how you say Rene and Marek. They are so hands on also with a lot of the founders, and you really touched every big project and person and in the Celo ecosystem, and I feel like it's just a great story also for like if you have potential, if you have an idea, if you have a great profile, even if your idea is not fully shaped, you can get that support of people believing in you, and you will get there. Now you you are one of the biggest ramps, like the biggest ramp for MiniPay in Nigeria. And yeah, I think maybe this is a great time to also share with the viewers a little bit more about what is an on-app. Like I know what an on and off ramp is and does, but I think it's so much more complex than
Mm.
people think. It's, oh, I just exchange my crypto for fiat, right? Like
Mm. Yeah.
why is it so hard to build a ramp really well?
Um, I mean, okay, for what an on ramp and off ramp is, well, very simply speaking, an on ramp lets you turn regular money, fiat, like naira, shillings, dollars, euros, into crypto. That's the basic understanding of what an on ramp is. And then an off ramp lets you do the reverse of that, which is crypto back to cash in your bank account, mobile money, and all of that stuff. Partner, we do both of those as well. I think it's hard to build because you're really sitting on two very different systems, right? Which is traditional banking and then blockchain. These are two very different systems that you're trying to bridge, right? That's what really makes it hard. Um, and you need to work reliably in both. You need to, you know, you really need both of those systems, blockchain and traditional banking, to work together in real time, right? So in Africa, as an example, that means you're dealing with bank APIs that could go down at any time without any kind of warning. You know, regulations that shift country by country. Every country has a different regulation. You have to also manage liquidity across local currencies. So there's always enough on both sides of the transaction. You need to make sure that there's enough crypto for when users want to on ramp and enough fiat when users want to off ramp. You know, and then there's fraud, there's all of this stuff. So when you're
And
moving real money, yeah,
then there's the users who freak out when their money gets stuck.
exactly. You know,
Yeah.
um, also when you're moving real money in and out of crypto stablecoins, you become a real target for hackers as well. That's a whole different conversation. I could do a 1 hour talk on this. But you need KYC, transaction monitoring, dispute resolution, and all without slowing things down so much that users give up. Like things need to keep moving no matter what happens. Even if the banking rails are not working, things need to keep moving. So, on top of all of that, you have to keep fees low. Fees have to be low. You also have to make sure that you have the best rate, all of that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what really makes it difficult. I think, trying to make sure that those two just work seamlessly on top of each other. Yeah.
You try to like get out of a little bit of that responsibility by moving from the consumer to infra, right? So
Yes.
like it's just like the most loud part is you
Yeah.
can focus on building the infra. What did that shift kind of like teach you, or like how did you grow in a way that you couldn't, or that you couldn't have learned it in another way?
Um, I think building a consumer product first has actually helped a lot in teaching us what users actually struggle with, right? Like, because at the end of the day, whether you're building an infrastructure product, the end users are still going to be consumers, right? So we work directly with businesses, but those businesses have consumers which are going to still use the product at the end of the day. So, building that coin profile first, which is the consumer product, has really helped us to understand what consumers actually struggle with. And this is not in theory, but from watching real people try to move money with our consumer product. So when we shifted to infrastructure, we carried all of that context from our consumer product with us. We knew exactly what kind of edge cases break the experience because we had already dealt with them ourselves, right? If we had started as a pure infrastructure company, I think we would have just built for developers in a way. And, you know, that would have been a different kind of experience. But because we started out as a consumer product, we built for the end user who is going to use the product at the end of the infrastructure and all of that complexity inside. So even though our direct customers are now businesses, so the difference kind of shows when you compare us with a lot of our competitors. It shows in everything from how our APIs handle errors, for example, which is very, very key. And, to like, we have a widget product. How the widget feels for someone catching out for the first time, all of that stuff. So the consumer product really helped us with that experience to know how to feel kind of empathy for the end user at the end of the transaction. So yeah.
I love that. I feel like there's this saying, no, you have to be a great boss or manager or chef, you should go to like the lowest position and
Yes.
work in every position to then be the great leader you're aspiring to be. And I think the same goes maybe for building infra. You cannot build infra for a product that you've never interacted with clients with. I think that's a very good learning.
Yeah.
And when you like, I mean, you pivoted, and I think for a lot of founders, one of the biggest and hardest challenges is this pivoting and like being like, when is the right time? Am I brave enough? Like, like you had a lot of businesses coming to you asking to use your infra, and then what was the moment where you were like, okay, well, it's time to say goodbye to our users and just focus on building this infra?
Yeah, it took a long time for us to make that decision. Even though we could see the signals. I think key thing is, when people reaching out aren't asking, like most of the people that are reaching out to you aren't asking about your product, but they're asking about, okay, what is the infrastructure behind this product? I think that's a strong signal. We had companies saying, oh, what's the rail that Coin Profile runs on? Stuff like that. Like, what's the infrastructure behind it? In fact, our first real growth started with a company called Pillow. Um, they were a huge company, raised something like $13 million. So very, very big company. That is where our trajectory really started, with Pillow. Someone on how the Pillow found us is at this point we were a consumer product, right? But someone on their team, they were looking to launch in Nigeria. Someone in their team was looking at the competition. Okay, what are the consumer crypto products in Nigeria? And he found us, right? And he used the product, Coin Profile. I was like, wow, this is really fast and reliable. Like, what is behind all of this stuff? So he decided to reach out through a contact to understand, okay, what infrastructure are you using and how they can also use it as well. And that is how they became a customer for our B2B product. And we had to build an API for them to use for the first time. So once all of that started happening, not just one off request, but a pattern, it was very clear that the market was telling us where the value was.
Yeah.
Um, so it was, these weren't just random startups as well. These were companies with real users who needed reliable to cash. So, to me, the hardest part wasn't recognizing the signal. It was letting go of Coin Profile, which is our baby, the product that
Yeah.
we. But when the market was pulling us somewhere with real revenue and real demand, we just had to follow it. So that's how we pivoted. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's always the hardest for founders to let go of their first baby, but um, sometimes
Yeah.
that's what it takes to actually become successful, right? I
Yeah.
think the first baby is to learn, and then the next step is to grow. And
Yeah.
I think also what you were talking about, like companies found you and reached out, and I think that same happened to you as well with MiniPay, right? Like they
Oh, yeah.
found you already when you were already infra, and I had another product, and we're like, oh my god, what does this product uses as infra? We want to use that. So I guess that's like already a very strong signal for like a collaboration. And how did this first integration look like with MiniPay?
Um, MiniPay found us through, like you said, another product that was using our infrastructure and they liked it, so they reached out. But that's also the best kind of validation as well. Your work just selling itself without you being in the room. That feels amazing as well. In terms of the integration early on, it was hands-on. MiniPay had very specific requirements of how the on-ramp and off-ramp needed to work within their wallet. It wouldn't just redirect to an external page. They wanted it to be part of the product. So we worked closely with their team to understand the UX they wanted and then build the custom widget that fit natively into the MiniPay experience. We had a lot of back and forth. We're in meetings every day with the MiniPay team. We're testing edge cases around Nigerian bank payouts and all of that stuff. We just wanted to make sure that the flow felt seamless for the user, um, that we're using the widget. So yeah, it was a really good experience with the MiniPay team at the beginning.
And now, I mean, that was the beginning, and now it's already like 2 years. Probably you can celebrate your anniversary. So, how has that relationship also developed since the first time you started working together?
Um, yeah, it stopped being a vendor kind of relationship a long time ago. It's more like at this point we are more like an extension of their team in Africa in a way, like with the integration that we have. So when they are planning new features, we are in the conversation very, very early. For example, we are not just executing specs, we're actually helping shape what makes sense for their users. We share data, we flag issues together, we co-prioritize all of that stuff. So that level of trust that we have with the MiniPay team right now, it took time to build, but it's what's making the integration work at the scale that it is now. With over 1 million users onboarded, and we're doing over 200,000 transactions a month. So it's been an amazing relationship, and hopefully we continue to grow together. Yeah.
Yeah, that you're already starting to share numbers. What are the highlights? Like what you say, like 1 million users, is that per month? And what is like volumes and
Mhm.
what?
Um, we have over 1 million users onboarded through MiniPay so far. And I'm really proud of that because these aren't really crypto natives. A lot of them are everyday people that are using stablecoin for the first time. So it just tells us that the market is moving beyond just speculation into actual real day-to-day utility. So we're doing over $2 million in volume on a monthly basis with MiniPay alone, and 200,000 transactions. So that is it's also not just hype-driven volume as well. It's actual habitual usage, and it tells me that the market for stablecoin-based payments in Africa is just getting started. So I'm really excited for the future. Yeah.
this might be a long shot because you're more doing more infra, but do you have like a user story or like even from your friend circle, somebody who used like MiniPay through the partner infra and who can now have access to specific tools or
Hmm. The one example I can think of is there was a woman in Nigeria, if I remember correctly, in Lagos actually, that had never used crypto before. Like she'd never heard of crypto. And she did it when she was using MiniPay, because someone introduced her to it. But she didn't even know that she was using stablecoins with MiniPay. She just knew that money comes in and then she cashes out to her bank account. That's all that she cared about, and that's all she knew.
nice.
You know, and that is exactly what we're building for, really. When the technology kind of disappears in the background and people just see money arrive, that's
Yeah.
when it's working. Yeah.
I love that so much. Like last week I had an interview and like my main message was just like MiniPay is so good because your mom can use it. Like somebody can just use it. Right? It's
Yeah.
so good because what web like how many Web3 projects actually pass that test?
Yeah. Not a lot actually.
I don't know any.
Yeah.
Like MiniPay.
Yeah.
Um um what is like in our community, or I feel like in general, especially like African founders, we have so many solo founders, solo builders that are looking to like build great products. And what do you wish somebody, I mean, you had a team and you had also like a lot of experience with working with companies before
Yeah.
you, or like, that's not true. You became a founder, you
Mhm.
realized you would need some more work experience, and then you became a founder.
Yeah.
What would you advise somebody who has not that, who didn't make that work experience yet?
Um, I think it's just that you cannot help being a founder. Like, every time that I was working with all of the companies I was working with, I just couldn't stop thinking about all of these products and all of these ideas that I had. So, just trusting the process and understanding that there's a time for everything. If it's time for you to get a job, get a job. Work for a few years, get some experience, and then by the end of the day, in your blood is still the entrepreneurship. You're always gonna go back, but there's always time when you need to take a break, go get some experience and stuff like that. So that would be, and then for like solo founders building in MiniPay, I think that was the other question. I think one thing I wish I had known is that the blockchain part is the easy part, right? It's like that's the easy part. The hardest part is everything all around it. It's like bank integrations that break at 2 a.m. when you're asleep. Compliance requirements that are changing every day. They change overnight. You have to manage liquidity, and then trust matters a lot as well. Especially in African markets, people need to trust that their money will actually arrive. One failed transaction can really lose you a lot of users. So,
Yeah.
and build for reliability first. Build the infrastructure, make sure it's reliable first, and then build for features secondly. And then obviously talk to your users constantly as well.
I can copy and paste that and give that to my builders. I love that. I think yeah, build this solid product first before you start thinking about any kind of features.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
the building part is the easy. I think people always think want to build something that is so reliant on so many external parties, and I'm like, you don't have any experience with
Yeah,
that. Try
yeah,
to build something where you only have one external
yeah.
party for the
Yes,
beginning, and then you can scale. So I love you say pointing that out because I agree. For that's what you need the experience and the team for, especially now with AI, right?
yes.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, we are at time. Just maybe anything else that you want to share? I know you're rolling out to a few more countries. Um, what what are the next chapters for Partner?
Next chapter. If I was to use two words, I would say deeper and wider. Two words. Deeper. We're going deeper in Nigeria and Kenya. In Nigeria, we're already the best in class stablecoin payment infrastructure, so we're going deeper. And then wider, we're expanding into other African countries, Ghana, Malawi, Zambia. So, that is the core of what we're going to be doing next. It's going deeper, making sure that we have a lot more growth in the countries that we're already the besters, and going wider and expanding into new countries. Yeah.
I love that. That's a great closing statement. And yeah, can't wait to talk soon and see how much Partner has grown. And yeah, thank you so much for building amazing infra. That's what we need for people to trust and use Web3. I don't know. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining today and sharing your experience. I think it's incredibly helpful and for everybody watching. And yeah, talk soon. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Lena. Bye.
Bye.